The Pathfinders are one of the most elite units in the British Army outside the SAS. Officially, they don't exist. They're a phantom platoon. The Pathfinders are at the spearhead of a new force, the heart of Britain's defence strategy for the 21st century. These 40 Pathfinders could be the first into battle in the next war.
They are my eyes and ears. They go in ahead of my main force to bring that main force in. And given that we're a brigade whose primary mission is to arrive by air, be that parachuting, air landing or by helicopter, then it's obviously important that we have somebody on the ground beforehand.
The Pathfinders are paratroopers and part of 5 Airborne Brigade. Their platoon has strong links with the SAS.
How would you describe a Pathfinder?
He's a motivated individual, a man able to operate in a small group and to be compatible with that group and to be totally self-sufficient, a cut above the ordinary soldier. I hazard a guess, something like 75% of them will have a go at going to the SAS, and I would hazard a guess again, the pass rate must be about 60%. So it's probably, as a unit, it probably sends more people there now, relatively speaking, than any other unit in the army.
The Pathfinders operate in small, tightly knit patrols, much of the time behind enemy lines.
I'm lead scout, so I go first in order of march, trying to push through this crap and then, observing my arcs to the front, really. And that's my main task.
So if you were to encounter the enemy, you would be the first to encounter it, would you?
Yeah, I'd probably get it first. I'm the most unpopular bloke, you see.
Everybody's known by the first name. We all live together, drink together, socialise together. And when it comes to work, you've got to be informal to the extent is guys are your mates. They're not somebody you just work with.
I mean, you'll never do drill ever in Pathfinders, hopefully. Whereas in battalion you get to do it once in a while, and you get pulled up for certain things and told off for certain things. But it's a bit more grown up in the Pathfinders, you're expected to do the business. If you can, you get left alone, more or less.
As part of the new force, the Pathfinders can strike at a moment's notice in any part of the world, in any conflict, against any enemy, and they have to be capable of defending themselves.
Even the most backward country can get its hands on some extremely effective weapons now. And so the days of deploying British soldiers in Land Rovers and soft-skinned vehicles and carrying an ordinary rifle are long gone. We've got to look at ways of protecting them better. We've got to give them increased firepower. And given that, 40% of the world's surface is covered by features such as this, terrain such as this, I think for a country such as Britain, with enormous worldwide interests, which we still have, we have got to be in a position to be able to protect them. And so it is logical that we continue to have the ability to fight in all terrains.
The Pathfinder platoon is at the core of what the ministry sees as a revolution in military thinking. In the past, it could take weeks for soldiers and their equipment to get to the front line. The ministry believes those days are gone. The Joint Rapid Deployment Force, or JRDF, is Whitehall's answer.
Morning, Adele.
The combined force of airborne troops and marine commandos was born in these corridors. its purpose to strike by land and sea in a matter of days.
Morning, Commander. Morning, Minister. Morning, mate. Morning, Mary.
Morning, Minister.
Morning. Morning, Mary.
Old enemies and old ways are no more. Joint operations are now the fashion, challenging traditional attitudes.
Nothing can be left just sitting in aspic. It's not pickled, it's not there forever stuffed like a museum piece. These are dynamic organisations, they change. Here is a brand new force structure, the Joint Rapid Deployment Force, operating from a brand new joint headquarters, a permanent joint headquarters, a new doctrine designed to promote British interests all around the world, and therefore there will be structural force changes in order to provide the components that are needed to do that job.
Once they've got their bashers up and their hammocks up, they'll then change into what they call the dry kit. Obviously during the day in the old tropical forest, it pisses down all the time. So you keep two sets of clothing, one is wet and one is dry. So once it's down to, once it gets dark, they'll then put the dry clothing on and they'll sleep in that all night. You get up in the morning before first light, they'll put the wet kit back on again. Not that bad. Once you get into it, it's quite easy, it's just routine, it's just getting used to it, The idea is that we move off, we've lined up for the night, and then we move off. We don't want to leave any sign that we've been there at all.
Obviously, there's a time when you've got to take away your crap or whatever, either using cling film or crapping into a bag and carrying it away with you so you leave no sign of whether you've been in an OP or something and haven't been able to move.
Cling film?
Cling film, yeah. Obviously, you want quite a solid...
solid turf for that. So good if you've got the shits. An experienced tracker, by looking at your crap, will be able to work out how long ago you were there and things like that. Okay, because he will know, because he's lived all his life, he will know how long it takes for like human crap to deteriorate.
You can pick out the Western diet as well.
Yeah, I mean they can actually tell what you've been eating.
So he knows you're a Westerner, and it starts. It's all little tiny bits of evidence that come together to build a picture of his enemy, isn't it? And so you deny him that information. A lot of us carry like sort of drapeline, the nappy rash cream for babies, etc. And when part of your night routine, you get in your hammock at night and you sort of cream it around your bollocks and around your ass there, and to sort of stop the sweat rashes. Obviously, you've been walking all day, and as I say, your combats are getting a bit clogged up with sweat, etc. Cream up, perhaps go around all your little bites and scratches and grazes, which you pick up a lot of around here, and go around with some antibiotic powder and clean yourself up.
I've spent like up to 7 days just sat in a bush watching the target, and you do need there to have like, although your personal hygiene is going to be limited because obviously you can't wash and shave. But you do need to look after yourself like that. And certainly in the tropical environments, in the past, most British casualties have been through disease rather than enemy action.
Right, everybody now feel the Adam's apple. We've got the little trench below it, and all we need to do is make a little centimetre incision. You'll feel a definite pop once it cuts through the actual tissue. Turn the scalpel round and bang the scalpel in, so the hole's maintained at least, okay? So once it's in there, then obviously these are the processes you're doing in seconds, okay? You've got your crico, all right? This is a 6mm crico, okay? It's good for at least 6 to 8 hours without blood clotting, okay? Once it's introduced, you take the pipe out and hopefully it will start breathing.
Do you have a special relationship with them?
Yes, I do, in so much as they are brigade troops, so they come under my direct command. The OC of the platoon works directly for me, and that's necessary because one's got to strike up a much closer link with them because you are projecting them into potentially a far more dangerous situation than obviously you are with the main force.
We discussed it the other night, didn't we? What we need is a rerun of the Paras 12 years on and see what they're actually doing now.
What have you done?
Yeah, but we know what they're all doing these days. Most of them are doing about 6 to 10. Crimes against the state.
No, Major, that man's got tips.
Get his head cut.
The army, if it's got one thing, it's got its variety in general, at least in the part I do. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, let alone next week, next month, 6 months' time. Because I'm sure most jobs are, well, from what I can see, are set out and you're fairly secure, you're safe. But I mean, I don't know, I mean, you get the good side. When you go on leave,
every time I walk into a McDonald's or something, I think, well, at least I can sit behind there serving me. So it's got that side of it. And then when you're sitting in a field in the pouring rain on a Saturday night, you think, well, oh, well, never mind. The next good time's just around the corner with a bit of luck.
You don't see yourself sitting behind a desk or sitting behind a bank counter?
Not really. Not unless I've got a ski mask and a shotgun in my hand. No, I can't see I'll ever work in the bank.
In his first conference speech as Defence Secretary, Michael Portillo linked the Joint Rapid Deployment Force to his vision of the future and Britain's role in it.
Civilization is vulnerable. We are resolved to defend it. Extreme nationalism resurgent. Ancient quarrels littering the earth like smouldering volcanoes. Next week, I shall announce to Parliament a new strike force drawn from the 3 services, capable of rapid and long-range deployment.
We might have to go to somewhere where hostilities have broken out or where they're imminent. We might be going somewhere that has already fallen to the enemy, that's possible. So we can't just count upon the red carpet being rolled out for British troops. We have to have the whole range of possibilities.
You go in regardless?
Of course, if it's necessary to check a declining military situation, a threat that's being posed, something which we regard as being contrary to British interests in the broadest sense, then we must be there to make sure that those interests are defended.
The JRDF, the Joint Rapid Deployment Force, becomes operational on the 1st of August, as you know. And this is a totally new venture for Her Majesty's government. This is something we have not done before, because before, quite naturally, the emphasis during the Cold War was on preparations for general war in Europe. So the whole concept of deploying forces worldwide quickly is quite new to us. It will mean new equipment. It will mean the establishment of the Pathfinder platoon, you lot, on the 1st of April this year. And we have now got to prepare ourselves for operating worldwide and reacting quickly to crisis.
The Pathfinders must be there to make sure that wherever we go is prepared and is safe. And we're dealing here with a range of possibilities. This could be quite a simple thing. This could be rescuing some people. This could be taking some relief. On the other hand, it might be just the first chapter in a very big build-up.
These latest 11 recruits to the Pathfinders may soon have to put Mr. Portillo's vision into practice.
Right, when the brigadier comes in, all I'll do is I'll come to attention and say, sit up. Normal score, like so. Okay, he will then say, relax. Any problems? After that, he will give his spiel, all right? And then all I say is, stand up. He will then go around to each one of you, all right? Present you with your DZ flash. Any problems? Quite simple. Sit up.
Relax, please. You join, from my point of view, the most important unit in the brigade, because unless you are on the ground, I can do nothing. You are the brigade's advance force. You are the first in. You will be my eyes on the ground. It is therefore extremely important to me that I've got the right people in the platoon. Now, I know most of you, I hope all of you, have aspirations to go on to Special Forces, and of course we will not stand in your way, indeed we'll encourage it. But very well done, and we'll have a drink afterwards.
Despite existing for 11 years, the platoon is still not officially funded, or in military jargon, established.
In many ways it's a phantom platoon. They are not established, which means in fact that the manpower for the platoon is carried on the establishments of my other units, and I equip them on the black market.
On the black market?
Yes, I have to find equipment from elsewhere and borrow it from elsewhere and give it to them. Corporal McPhee.
Nice.
Well done.
Nice.
To establish the platoon on a proper financial footing would cost around £6 million.
Still not transferred
Not transferred, it'll come through soon. Well done.
Private Flint, sir.
3 para?
1 para, sir.
Very well done. Thank you.
How do you feel now you've got it?
Oh, over the moon. Dog's bollocks.
Great.
Why do you want to be a Pathfinder?
So I can get to fire bigger and better guns.
The new headquarters, known as PJHQ, from which the force will be run, isn't short of money. For the first time, the Army, Navy and Air Force will operate a permanent joint command.
He's been delayed unavoidably. I know he's making every attempt to get here as swiftly as he can. But he's in the hands of London traffic. Nonetheless, we are exploiting the full range of the PGHQ's flexibility and authority to replan on the hoof, make contingency plans as the need develops, and put them into operation smooth and silkily.
Sounds like a military operation.
Oh, indeed it is. Indeed it is. This, after all, is a military headquarters, and he is the Secretary of State for Defence and would expect no more.
And no less.
And no less, yes.
This is it. This is where it's all going to be happening. Good afternoon. BCDS, very nice to see you. Sorry the cabinet overruns. Really
Not
good
at
to see
all.
you.
We've been replanning on the hoof as befits this
Good.
headquarters and
Exactly.
its name.
Yes.
Can I lead you on?
Flexibility the key.
Yes. A nuclear bunker.
The next war will be run from northward, in a bunker hardened against nuclear attack, deep beneath London suburbia.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much.
They'll lead you through the operations room. You'll be able to see. On your right, an array of screens. Sure, you see the army officer. That is Wilton.
Yeah.
The crisis management centre back in the MOD. We got CNN.
Right,
So
as one probably would.
As one probably would. There is a document.
The document has just been transmitted
That's right.
locally, but
Yes.
in principle, it could actually be a readout from an aircraft over the
Indeed.
theatre or whatever.
It could be from the theatre, it could be from another headquarters.
Satellite.
Satellite link.
Yes.
If I can just take you out onto the wing of the bridge, where you will look down into the bridge. From this building, Admiral Fieldhouse ran the Falklands War, but not from this ops room. This wasn't here.
No.
This has been part of perhaps the major part of the construction has been here to create this environment. That has been going extremely well.
The parade commander will say to you that the signboard is now ready for unveiling. Would you like to step forward? And it's on a little bow. All you have to do is pull the bow.
Right.
And the thing will spring up. Incidentally, CDS at all times will be on your right and I will be on your left, and I will prompt you as necessary.
That will make me feel very secure.
Yes, I think it should, sir. There will be a general salute. You don't do anything, sir, except stand there, looking your usual smart self. CDS and I behind you will be throwing up a salute, sir.
Very good.
Step forward, sir, and pull that string. And I suggest you stand back a little.
Right. Well, there you go.
Right, carry on.
3,500 feet, pull. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, check canopy. You've got no canopy at all. Roll your shoulders, bang your...
Pathfinder recruits must learn how to parachute free fall, to mark out a drop zone or DZ for the main force, or secure a landing strip for them.
Look, locate, feel punch, pull. 3,500 feet, pull.
If the parachute doesn't open, they've got to know what to do.
Nothing, roll the shoulders, still nothing, discard the handle.
Good, locate, feel punch, pull.
Right, you're at 4,500 feet, look at your handle. 4,000 feet, take hold of it. 3,500 feet, pull.
1,000, 2,000.
If you can free fall or whatever, obviously you can travel longer distances without being detected on radar. And with our role, if we're going in early, that's one of the things you don't want to do, get detected, at an early time. So basically, if you're jumping from 25,000 feet, you've got a four-man group in a tight, close-knit area on the ground within a few minutes or whatever. Hopefully nobody knows you're there.
Take it a little bit higher. 4,000 feet! Come into the pool. 3,500 feet. Pull!
1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Check canopy. No canopy.
Roll the shoulders. Still nothing. Discard the handle.
Locate. Peel, punch, pull.
Good man.
Yeah, the height is no good, Scotland. Flat up, please.
12,000 feet above Oxfordshire, the new Pathfinders get ready to make their first free-fall jump.
Red on. Height speed good. 20 seconds. 25 seconds. Red on. Red on. It's on. Green on. Green on. Green on. 3. Height speed. 5. 7. 10. Stick complete. Thank you. Red on, lights out. Red on, lights out.
And you're up at 12,000 feet, so you look down, and I mean, you can see clouds and stuff like that. I mean, what we're used to, we only jump about 800 feet normally. So, I mean, you can always sort of see the ground quite sort of low and stuff like that. But in this, you realised how high up you were. You just sort of thought, shit, you know, here we go, let's hope it opens. Or you know, well, I won't be going on the piss tonight. The blokes will be in my locker getting all my kit out.
What was it like just before you jumped out?
Fucking shitting myself. It is one, you can't help it. You just like, your stomach's going and you just go, shit.
And how do you feel now?
Ready to go on the piss. All right then. Cheers.
On the ground, the Pathfinders believe they need new weapons, like grenade launchers, to help them do the job properly in their crucial role in the new force.
Okay, raise elevation slightly. Okay.
It's like for damaging objects at long distances. I wouldn't say it's a precision weapon, not at 1,800 metres, but it could do a lot of damage to, say, a vehicle.
They're enormous bullets.
0.5, yeah. Yeah, quite big. If it hit you, take your head off.
How much does one of these cost?
I've no idea.
How many do you need?
56.
How many will you get?
That is up for people in the Ministry of Defence to make that decision. I wouldn't wish to be in Minister's shoes for a moment, but now he's faced with resourcing the Joint Rapid Deployment Force. To do that, he will have to rob Peter to pay Paul. That is his problem, not mine.
With no new money and the new force to fund, ministers have to decide just how important are the Pathfinders' needs.
Does the Pathfinder platoon require essential kit? I mean, I remember when I went to see the other one, they were anxious about the Pathfinder role, and I wasn't sure whether they needed new equipment for it, or was it
well,
just...
they are getting some enhanced communications out of the JRDF budget this year. Also some logistic enhancements and for the brigade headquarters.
So we've had to go and gouge out savings in other areas, put the money in the direction of the JRDF. But everybody, I think, is happy inside the building. So.
Well, the CTS has always imprinted on my brain since the first day I came here that it's all a question of priorities and where you choose to elect to put that particular priority.
I am personally accountable for how every one of the 21 billion or 22 billion pounds that we spend is spent. So is it spent for a reasonable purpose? Is it properly spent? And I and one or two of my colleagues appear regularly before Parliament to justify that.
You hold the purse strings?
I hold the purse strings. I am personally responsible for the way all the money is allocated, subject to the views of ministers.
Is there any news on the establishment of the Pathfinders? Do they exist yet?
They don't exist yet, and I'm conscious we're only 2 weeks away from April the 1st. It will be agreed this year and it'll be established forthwith. And after all, ministers would not be spending money procuring them new weapons if they didn't believe in their future. So I've got no, personally, I've got no problems at all with the fact that they're going to be established. They will be. It's just a question of time now.
Well, this is frosty. Kellogg's make, so it's all right. In fact, we're quite glad when we come here to eat, because it makes a nice change. Well, they're great.
Yeah.
This is the day the Pathfinders rehearse their role in the new joint force. Winged Avenger is the biggest airborne exercise of the year.
21 is Sammy, 22 is Tony, 23 is Bruce, 24 is Jim, 25 is Buck, 26 is Nath, 27 is Graham, 28...
Most of us there haven't actually been in a proper war, but it'd be nice to find out, be given the opportunity of finding out what it's really like. We've been left out of a lot of the big conflicts in the last couple of years, and the bloke's getting a bit pissed off with it, and they want to try some now. I'm in Bosnia now, it's sounding like it's getting a bit better now that a lot of the handcuffs have been taken off the soldiers and they're allowed to do your job rather than be a politician. It must come to a time when the politicians have just got to shut up and leave it to us, and hopefully that time will come.
This is the most important day in the MOD's year, when the Secretary of State unveils the Defence White Paper to Parliament and press. But upstairs, it's business as usual.
How long have you been making tea for the 6th floor, George?
Oh, about 10 years now.
10 years?
10 years, yes.
That's an awful lot of cups of tea.
Over the years.
What happens if you're late with the tea and the coffee?
Oh, never late. Not for the Secretary of State or CDS, you know. They come first. They're priorities.
Gordon Brown's been on saying that Labour would be wise spenders, not big spenders. It's obviously the point that Manchester Council spends more than any other borough. Be useful to make.
Alison Broome is the Defence Secretary's special advisor. Her advice is party political.
Very good. Standing by. Fine. Thank you.
The fastest news service, GMR Talk from the BBC.
The special advisor is paid for not by Conservative Party Central Office, but by the ministry itself.
Conservative councillors in these local elections are having to fight the campaign this week against renewed speculation about the Prime Minister's leadership.
Well, pundits are not the same as voters, and we trust the voters.
And let me make it perfectly clear. There may be speculation in newspapers, but there is not speculation in the Conservative Party about its leader. That was completely settled last year, and he will lead us through to the next general election. And I believe he will lead us to victory.
That's 2 miles.
High above Salisbury Plain, the Pathfinders prepare to launch themselves into the first phase of Winged Avenger, marking the drop zone area for the rest of 5 Airborne Brigade.
Turning back on a 082. Checks. I have the outer marker on the right-hand side.
Dennis, the platoon sergeant, has done nearly 3,000 jumps.
It's a form of transport from A to B, and you need to take a lot of kit in with you for the job we've got to do or for the task that we've been given. We don't want to actually pinpoint a place. As long as we land as a patrol together, then we can go on, carry on with our job.
Green on. Green on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 troops dispatched. Red on. Red on. Lights off. Lights off in the back. Right.
Now, we'll move off under cover of darkness. We've got about a 25k patrol to do.
to get to where we want to go, which is an area where we can locate an OP and report on the actual battalion DZ.
When darkness falls, the Pathfinders recce the best position for their OP, the observation post. From here, they will monitor the enemy positions before moving on the following morning to set up the landing area.
We'll set up an OP in the early hours of this morning to have that as the target with first light. So it's going to be quite a busy night, basically. We've got a lot of work to do. Why is everybody whispering? Basically, it wouldn't do very good to be talking loud. The noise carries a long distance. And if there was any troops within a long way, they would simply hear it. And then it wouldn't be so good.
How long could you be there?
Varies. I mean, it could vary from 48 hours up to, 6-7 days. Sometimes longer.
7 days stuck in a hole?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, folk have been in for longer than that before, a lot longer. Yeah, I miss it all. You work at night, and then in the daylight you just lay still, and obviously minimise your chance of being detected. You sometimes find that what you think is good at night, come daylight, you're standing out like, bulldog's bollocks. You have to try and look around, find as many sites as possible, and then pick what you perceive as the best one. Well, you're out, for days on end. There's nothing, no hot food, no hot drinks. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing to keep you going. And first of all, your extremities start to go, your fingertips, your nose, and your face, and then you and your toes, obviously. And then, obviously, you start shivering because your body's trying to pump the warm blood to the extremities, try and warm them up. That's why you shiver. And then you get to a stage where you stop shivering because your body's using up too much energy. And that's when your inner core starts to get, well, not your inner core, but your outer core starts to get cold. That's when it really does get bad. That's when you sort of start worrying as well. Your feet have gone numb. Your hands are cold, your face all cold, and you're shivering. It's hard to concentrate about what you're doing, but you got eyes on target. You got to keep yourself motivated, keep your morale up.
But you're thinking about the cold at the time?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. Wishing you was back at home, have a cup of tea, watching TV or something.
The patrol lies up in a dense pine wood. It's under the command of a new young officer, but the veteran platoon sergeant, Dennis, is watching over him.
Huh? 3-3 Charlie. 3-3 Charlie, okay. What's your relationship with Dennis? We're not lovers. Dennis is a platoon sergeant. Obviously, Dennis is experienced. This is his second or third tour of the platoon. Should he need to, can take control if I've got slotted or whatever. You've got a lot of information to take on board as well as to command, and so naturally you're always looking to learn of people. What's he like? He's a wanker. What sort of question is that?
This is the Defence Secretary's first white paper, and it's about politics as well as defence. Mr. Portillo is keen to ensure that it's presented to the press with his chosen political spin.
I don't think that is the emphasis I want to use this year. I think we report on our continuing success in managing to provide resources to the front line and support for it, and don't emphasise this year value for money. I mean, it's clear enough in the defence estimates, but I just think it would give the wrong impression this year. There was an earlier draft of a press notice that put too much emphasis on the United Nations operations. It's a very good point to say that if you take a snapshot last year, Britain was making more of a contribution to the United Nations operations than anybody else. But whilst I'm keen to make the point that we are good at peacekeeping, I don't want to give the impression that we've got a peacekeeping army. And the other point is the way we built on changes since the Cold War. So that's jointry, PGHQ, creation of the Joint Rapid Deployment Force. And I will mention to them the rolling programme of exercises, Purple Star, Purple Viva, and make quite a lot of that. I believe today that British forces have never been better equipped than now. We've been putting
Mr. Portillo wants Britain to play in the big league, and the big league means big money, which Britain doesn't have. Funding for the new joint force comes from painful cuts and redundancies.
With the JRDF, aren't we a second division power aspiring to play in the Premier League?
We are we are not a second division power. We are not, however, aspiring to be a superpower. What we are aspiring to be is quite clearly what we are, which is the premier European, Western European country in terms of our defence capability. So we are in the France-Germany league. That's the league we aspire to.
After a long, wet night, the Pathfinders emerge to begin their search for the precise area that will become the drop zone.
Got on the ground, it started raining. About 8 hours later, we got to where we were going. It was still raining. I don't know, should we get paid for, I suppose, isn't it? Doesn't make it very nice when it's pissing down, but I don't know, what are you going to do? You can't just sit there and complain because it's pissing down. You still got to get to the other end, so you just keep going, don't you? I suppose you just walk. Try not to think about it. Try and think about happier times.
Is it worth it?
What, is it worth £35 a day? Sometimes. Yesterday wasn't. Today's not so bad. Tomorrow might be nice.
Soon, the 800 men of 5 Airborne will drop from the sky, led by their brigadier.
Special parachute, you mean? No way. Put that in there for me. I think it's a very good idea, a special parachute for the over 40s. Twice the size of everything else. Each man is wearing a life jacket, because we're flying over water, and that's mandatory. Body armour, which makes you heavier and wider, so they tend to look like Michelin man. Everyone's a little bit superstitious, and on exercise I've always jumped #1 port side and only had a few minor injuries over the years, so it's probably my last jump, and I want to continue that tradition. It's also very good, obviously, for them from an exercise point of view to see that their brigadier, their brigade headquarters, comes and jumps with them. We are a well-oiled machine, that's the idea.
And we're on that side of it, so it must be along here somewhere. And it can only be...
So 900 puts us about there, which is...
Yeah, but not on that bearing. Alright, it's there.
Without the Pathfinders, the Brigadier's well-oiled machine may go horribly wrong.
They indicate to the pilot from the approach to here, which is the centre, which is the IP. That is his aircraft running, which is 130 degrees magnetic.
If we want to project power quickly, it has to go by air, and that is a specialised business. So I think the JRDF provides a proper, at last, operational focus for 5 Airborne Brigade. I would agree that we, the British, have not used it for some time. Last time was Suez, but that's not to say we won't use it tomorrow, because of course it is always the unexpected that comes round the corner at you.
leave a brigade that believes it now has a firm role in life, but most importantly of all, it feels it's going to be used. And I don't see that with the world situation as it is now, that's going to change. So I would be very surprised if elements of the JRDF did not deploy somewhere within the first 18 months of its establishment.
Dennis, are they on target? Slightly, I'd say, off. But they're on the DZ, that's the idea, you know. We've delivered.
Might need two people, mate.
What you got there? Pillars? I'm all there. Up now, yeah?
There's a bloke over there who's fragged his neck.
He wasn't moving when I walked past.
Do you do it for Queen and country?
No. Definitely not. There's no way. I think 99% of the army would die for Queen and country. 99% of the army, I like to think, I know every guy in there, we'd all quite happy fight alongside each other. You know, I mean, you fight for your comrades at the end of the day. You're put in a position, if you haven't gone to war with the hope of killing somebody, which I know for a fact a lot of the guys have, you know, just to see what it's like, to see what, you know, I know guys who've left the army after conflicts because they've killed somebody, they've been to war, they've seen what it's like, they've done it now, right, I've had enough, I'm happy, and then they go to civilian street. But on the other hand, I haven't done that yet. I'd like to see what it's like, I'm sure, conflict. I wouldn't like to die for my Queen and country, that's for sure. I wouldn't like to die at all. I ain't no worry sod who wants medals. And most of them people end up pushing out the daisies.
Michael Portillo has no such ambivalence about Queen and country. To him, patriotism and conservatism are one, a philosophy with which he roused the party faithful.
It is, for me, a privilege to represent Britain's armed forces in Cabinet and Parliament and to lead the Ministry of Defence.
Hello. Not bad, sir, yourself?
Good. You looking forward to tonight?
Yeah, should be a laugh.
Around the world, just 3 letters send a chill down the spine of the enemy. S-A-S. And those letters spell out one clear message: don't mess with Britain. We are conservatives. We will speak of pride, of honour, of valour in battle, and yes, of glory. The SAS have a famous motto: who dares, wins. We dare. We will win.
I know that there was resentment within the Ministry of Defence and within the armed services about some of your remarks, the language you used. There was a feeling that you were wrapping yourself up in the Union Jack and using the armed forces for your own political ambitions. Do you have any regrets about that?
You've been filming the MOD for the best part of a year, and I think you've seen that ministers and the armed forces have a very good and close relationship.
But people did feel that you were using the services for your own political future ambitions.
Well, maybe a couple of people did, but whatever they may have thought at the time, I think we now have the strongest, closest working relationship.
Were you minded to apologise?
Oh, I made clear to the chiefs of staff that I had never intended any insult to the armed forces. I intended only to praise them.
Would you make the same speech again today, after a year as Secretary of State?
Well, I certainly believe in the same thing.
Here in North Carolina, Operation Purple Star, a coalition exercise with the Americans, is vital preparation for the new joint force. The Marines 3 Commando Brigade, the seaborne element of the force, team up with 5 airborne.
As far as the exercise is concerned, we're running at 0-200, and that's all looking good. We've had in for about 3 days the Pathfinders, who've established eyes on as forward reconnaissance, which is an essential component. Otherwise, we'd be going entirely blind and putting not only, in fact, ourselves at risk, but obviously the air crews and that are going to be flying us in there too.
So your men are out there at the moment?
Yes, sir, they are.
Living rough, concealed?
Oh yes, they're in swamps at the moment. So they
how
come
many?
with 45 strength. We've only got 7 patrols deployed in the headquarters. Some we've left back in UK on courses. We expect to extract them tomorrow after D-Day.
They've been living in the open for how long then?
The longest 4.5 days. The last lot that went in last night, so it's not too bad for them.
It's hard ground. One of the SEAL teams lost a foot against an alligator the other day. So
that is for real. That's not simulated. That's correct.
That was
real.
Yeah.
Away! Get off! Have you seen Dead Spot?
The Pathfinders survive the alligators and snakes, but they aren't so fortunate in the spending round back home. They return to base to hear the news from Whitehall that they still don't officially exist.
Why haven't the Pathfinders been established?
Well, because we have to find ways of meeting a whole series of requirements. We are thinking about how we can best meet that requirement. It hasn't the highest priority.
It has to the Pathfinders.
Well, everything has the highest priority to the people who are looking at it at their level. But at our level, we have to make a number of hard decisions.
But we've been going for 11 years, this platoon, and we've not done bad out of it. A lot of hard work been put in by a lot of people to keep this unit going.
11 years on the black market.
Yeah, for a unit that don't exist, we've done a lot.
Right, the enemy in detail. We're carrying M16s, Kalashnikov type weapons.
The Pathfinder platoon may be the trailblazer of Britain's new global ambitions, but its continued lack of funding is a reminder of the economic realities back in Whitehall.
Mission, Pathfinder platoon, is to execute a silent, deliberate attack to ensure that we destroy the entire base. Okay, and destroy the entire
Despite their pivotal role in the new force, the Pathfinders will remain a phantom platoon, fighting their way from exercise to exercise until called upon to do it for real.